All right, the Renaissance, 1350 to 1600, are the notes here. You kind of got a little background information on the Renaissance and kind of some probably interesting ideas that come from that podcast, the World History podcast. So the Renaissance, 1350 to 1600, came after the fall of the Roman Empire. And the fall of the Roman Empire brought an end to the Middle Ages. The Renaissance would bring, a revolution of printing press, growth and spread of ideas, and it helped our world develop into what we are today. So the beginning of the modern world here, the Italian Renaissance, 1350 to 1600. Make sure you know that Renaissance means rebirth. Rebirth of the ancient Greek and Roman worlds, which began in Italy and spread to the rest of Europe. Why Italy? Italy had some advantages that maybe other countries didn't have. It had thriving cities, wealthy merchant class. What that means is a group of people that sold a lot of stuff and goods, and that they kind of made the merchant class there. Your classical heritage, ancient Rome, and they have that connection to Greece because Greece is somewhat near there to Italy. There in Italy, they just have that direct contact to Rome, so you get a lot of classical art at that time. And the rest of Europe was very rural due to the plague. People had tried to disperse and get out of the cities because of the plague during the Middle Ages, so that helped bring about a rebirth in Italy. Northern Italy was more urban, while the rest of Europe was rural, and spurred the spread of new ideas and intellectual revolution that would be foreshadowed. Politically, the Renaissance, you have city-states that are ruled by wealthy families. These small city-states, they collected their own taxes, and they usually had their own army. They were able to protect themselves in the case of an attack or invasion. They were prepared to go to battle. People associated with that city-state, they didn't necessarily associate with as Italians or Italy. They associated with that specific city-state. Bankers and merchants, they were the most important. They gained a lot of their wealth through their own achievements, and they believed that they deserved more power. They were power hungry, and these bankers and merchants are going to want and pursue more power. Powerful Italian city-states, some of the more well-known city-states. Florence, ever get a chance to go there, I highly recommend it. Love Italy. I'm a huge Italy fan. I love, my wife and I went there, and I love Italy. But Florence is controlled by the Medici family, and they were a banking family. They made tons and tons of money in banking in Florence. Patrons, if you don't know what the word patron means, that means just a regular citizen. The patrons commission art to beautify Florence. What it means beautify is make the city look better. And they tried to do that through art. The Medici family ran Florence for about 300 years. The family was known as the godfathers of the Renaissance. Artists and those that liked art flocked to Florence because it was a hub. It was a place to go that took care of artists, and the Medici family put significant support behind artists and inspired them and empowered them to continue to pursue art. Lorenzo Medici, he is one of the Medici family members. He is believed to have discovered Michelangelo. who we'll get to later in this unit. Unfortunately for Lorenzo, yes, he may have discovered Michelangelo, but he drove the city to almost bankruptcy there in Florence. He was not good with money. He just spent, and thought that money was a never endless supply. Fun fact about the Medici family and the United States is George W. Bush is a distant cousin to the Medici family. Venice, at port city. What that means by port, the city sits on the water. It sits right in the Mediterranean and the Adriatic Sea there. There's a link between the Middle East and the Western world. It dominated Mediterranean trade. That's where you went to trade goods and make money. The city was very open-minded and provided a safe place for thinkers and philosophers to go and promote their ideas and think through and talk through their ideas in debates. And this made Venice kind of a place to go for free thinkers, people that thought differently than others. Trade is going to help and promote this city. As you can tell, I mean, it sits right there on the water, the Adriatic Sea. It has Mediterranean. Trade is going to be a huge thing for Venice, and that's where they're going to make a lot of their money. And trade is going to help promote change, because when you trade with other countries constantly, and you got all sorts of different types of people coming in, so you're getting different vantage points of life and how people see life in different cultures, and that's very important. It's kind of realizing your own self-worth and where your country and your culture is, and things that maybe can be changed or improved. Lastly here, Rome, probably the one that everybody knows. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous city. Great food. Loved the pizza, the pasta, everything in Rome was tasty. But the city's going to emerge as the leading place. It is very, very urban, meaning it's a city. There are a lot of people there. But it is going to be kind of the place for the Renaissance. Pope and cardinals, they're most powerful and wealthy. Pope is the leader of the church. Cardinals serve him. Popes had more political power than they were religious power. So whatever they said basically goes. Yes, that there might be a king or a political leader, but whatever the Pope does or says goes. And the Pope carries a lot of weight with the decisions, remarks, things he does there. St. Peters Basilica, gorgeous place. It's the largest church in the Christian world. It is a magnificent building. I highly recommend going there. It was just gorgeous when I went. What you do have to understand, St. Peters Basilica, there are the caskets of the popes of past, and some are open, and you can look inside and see the body. Popes fueled the Renaissance because the popes at the time were very interested during this time span. Were very interested in art and architecture. Sistine Chapel is painted during this time by Michelangelo. The final pope of the Renaissance was Pope Leo X, and he is believed to have studied Raphael. One of the positives of his time as pope was the discovery of Raphael. This is St. Peter's Basilica right there. It was started to be built in 1506, and eventually it was completed in 1615. All the Pope's tombs are held there. Like I said, some are see-through caskets, and it's not much to look at there. But this St. Peter's Basilica is a beautiful, gorgeous building inside. Literature of the time. Petrarch He's the father of humanism. He was an interesting cat. He wrote sonnets and poetry. Was a typical passionate writer of the Renaissance. He focused a lot on love. Machiavelli, who we're going to study and we're going to look at a little bit. You're going to have to probably do some reading maybe on him and answer some questions. But he wrote the book called The Prince, and it is a guidebook for rulers on how to keep and gain power. This is Petrarch, and then this is Machiavelli. Machiavelli's book is very fascinating. It examined the imperfect conduct of human beings and believed most people are selfish, fickle, and corrupt. He was not concerned. He believed leaders should not be concerned with moral integrity, but political effectiveness. There. Some of his favorite quotes or famous quotes from his book, The Prince, is that politics have no relation to morals. You can be completely immoral. What it means immoral, like your values. What do you stand for? How do you treat people? Doesn't matter when you're in politics. That's what Machiavelli believed. The end justifies the means. I'm sure everybody has heard that statement before. It is better to be feared than loved. He believed that leaders should rule harshly. A ruler must be like a fox and a lion. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. Prince is so monumental that words like Machiavellianism and Machiavellian are still commonly used today to describe any sort of authority figure who tries to manipulate people under their influences. Machiavelli believed a leader must be as strong as a lion, but as shrewd as a fox there, and that's why I had put that quote on there. But he believed that it was the job of leaders and rulers to make shrewd decisions and not concern themselves with how they were treating others or how they was coming off to the public. It is about making the right decision and being Machiavellian. That's all for these notes. Thanks.